Alrighty, what's going on guys? My name is Solo Banner, and in this video I'm going to be doing a very fast, quick build for you guys, just to show you a nice and simple build or tune setup that you can put on pretty much all of your cars to make them somewhat competitive. Now obviously you're going to need to make some small minor adjustments to make the car work 100%, but this should do 80% of the work for you if you're running 180. I'm not doing 90s, I'm not doing 110s or 120s. This is just going to be a 180 build, just a generic build, which is very good. I've been having so much success with this, it's just been insane. So I've decided to pick a car that I never use anymore, which is the, what is this, a 350Z? It's a Piranha X, but I'm pretty sure it's a 350Z, right? Yeah. And this is an old build from when I first started playing the game, and I'm rocking 120s. So first thing I do is I crank the suspension up to around about 16, just to see how high the car is going to look. Then I take my front spring and I take this down to around about 80 to 75. I'm going to go 75 with this car. And at the rear, I'm going to take this down to 50. Now this is the base tune setup, okay? Now you're going to go ahead and adjust these by 5s. That's what I would recommend. Maybe 5 lower or 5 up. It's completely up to you, but that's my base right there. Now the next one I like to run, because it's a smaller, shorter style car, I'm going to run 5,000 on the front. If it's longer or larger, I'll run slightly more. If it's an S14, I'll run around about 6,000. If it's like the size of a Chaser, I might run about 7,000 at the front. And underneath, I'll do exactly the same, 5,000, but I'll go up by 500. And then I'll do the same in the rear on this one here. Go and put this to 5,500. Keep that one at 5,000. And then the following one, I want to do the same thing again, but 5,100 there. And then the next one, 5,600. And then this one here is obviously the one that I crank up the most. This is a smaller car. Normally, if it's a larger car, I would have this around about 12 to 11,000 at the top. If it's a medium-sized car, I'll have it sitting around about 8,000. And if it's a really small car like MX-5, I'll even have this sitting around the 6,000 mark. So for this one, I'm going to run 8,000. I'll go with 8,000 on this one. If I can get it, there we go. And at the rear, I'm going to run 9,000. I normally go up by 1,000 for that one. Now the toe, I put it on 40, and the front toe, I leave it around about 20. Now for the rear camber, I run around about between 100, sorry, not 100, between 1 and 1.5. So I'm going to go 137, bring this down to just before you get into the 5s. These will change. Now this one, I bring this down to 25, bring this one down to 15, just like so. Now the caster, now that should be up. Now the caster I bring down to the middle, just for now, until I can sort out the bottom one. So the bottom one all depends on you. Do you want to be super smooth? Do you want to be super jittery? Or do you want a mix in between? For me, I like to be a little bit of both. So I like to run my Anchorman at around about 45% to around about 70%. So for this one, I'll run 70%. And then your caster, I run just until the wheel is pretty much as flat as possible when you're looking at it from this direction. So you can obviously have it like that, but it's not going to be the best for your the wheel that's on the outside. So I like to have it just tilting in a bit, around about the 6% mark, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 5.5. For the wheels, I normally go one larger, just like so, maybe 20s or 19s, depending on the car. This one is quite large, so I'm going to go with 20s. I'm going to bring this down to 265 at the front, and I'm going to leave this at 325s at the back, which is not realistic, I know, but it's extremely helpful for gripping up and making your car super fast. I bring these both all the way down. Now, if your car is not going wide enough, you can obviously bring this up to around about 100, or you can even bring it up further. But for my builds, I don't seem to have that issue that much. Obviously, bring this down to 100. Don't be a simp. And get your fitment pretty much wherever you want it. So I have mine, I like my fitment just outside of the guards for the front wheels, just like so. And for the rear, I like to tuck these just in so the lip of the rim is sitting out, just like so. I'll leave the tires just as they are. Now this car has 900 horsepower, so I'm going to bring the torque, which is extremely important. You don't want crazy high torque. So I bring my torque RPM to about 4,500 because I just don't need that much power. Unless you're running a really large track, you don't need that power. And I'm going to bring this down to right about there. I'm going to bring this one here down to about there. So 780 horsepower, 588 pounds of torque, which is good. I'm happy with that. Pump that up. Bring this down to 290. Bring this down to 290. If you can get that, there we go. Bring this down to 200. And then leave that at 80. Bring this up to 68. Bring this to 50. Actually, no, we'll bring that to 55, just for now. Normally I go up in just 10s. And then bring this one up to probably 45 again. Come on, where are we? There we go. And for my brake torque, I bring that down to 2000 to 1900, right there. I put my brake pressure up to, this is personal preference. Now, if you have your brakes too far to the middle of the car, then what will happen is when you start tapping your brakes, the front wheels will kind of lock up and will steer you the opposite direction, putting you into the car you're trying to tandem with. So I like to run mine around about 75. If you have anything above 80, what you'll have is as soon as you tap the brakes, the back end will flick out too much and you'll get crazy angle and probably spin out a lot. So just bring that down to around about 75%. I leave ABS on, I leave launch control on just to make the starts a bit more quicker. I go ahead and save that. I go back into my front spring length and I bring that down obviously to make it look good. Bring that to around about there. But what I like to do is I like to bring this down to see how far I can actually go. So I can go all the way down without it showing. So that's a good sign. So I'm going to leave this at around about 14% centimeters. Now, this is an important one. If you've got it all the way down to the ground, all of these settings here are now useless because the car cannot actually utilize those. So you don't want to do that. The VIP look looks cool, but it's not actually effective in a drift. So you need to have your spring rate fairly decent so these can actually react how they're supposed to. So that is pretty much the base setup right there. Jump into a game and we will test this out. Now, for most of my competitive cars, after I get this corner here, past this corner here, there's another left-hand turn. Normally, if I've done it right, every single car setup that you have should hit that corner. You should hit that corner at around about 65 miles an hour, between 60 and 65 miles. And you should exit the corner and hit the tyre at around about 70 miles max. That's how I know that the build is decent and that I've done something right. And then I just go ahead and tune from there and make sure that I hit those goals. And if I can hit those goals and those times, then I know that the build is going to be good. And when you go in tandem, you'll find out firsthand. So as you saw there, I literally just hit both of those, but the car is extremely sluggish. Now that's because it's so gripped up. That's what I mean. I'm still running lots of power, but the car has so much grip, even with 100s. So this is why I really like this build, because it's extremely grippy, but an easy way to make the car feel a little bit more responsive is all you do is crank these up by a few, just like so. Bring that up to around about 80. Actually 75. We'll bring this up to 65 and we'll bring this up to 55, just like so. and we will also go back in here and we will crank this up by 1. I like to put it like that. I like to go up by 1 and 1 only. And yeah, we'll see how this one goes. See how it feels. See if it's a little bit more quicker, and if it's a little bit more aggressive. But I'm liking with how it feels so far. It feels really good. It's very, very easy. Let's do this. Alrighty, so I'm happy with that. It feels really good. Like I said, I hit the speed milestones that I always aim for, which is around about 70 miles an hour hitting that corner, and 70 miles an hour while exiting that corner. If you can pull that off, then it's a solid build. Obviously, if you're running 120s, you could probably hit that corner at like 120 miles an hour if you wanted to, but this is a 180 build. This can keep up with the majority of the builds that other people will be rocking. Even if it's 120 tire adhesion that they are using, my builds can keep up with them. It's insane. So hopefully this little template here has helped you out. Obviously you need to make those minor adjustments to make the car work for you, and make sure that if you do adjust these, it is going to affect your camber over here. So as you can see, it was at 88. We adjusted that earlier, so I want to put that back up to around about 130 to 140. Bring this down to around about just before it hits 5, just there, and we are good to go. Now that car is ready to roll and to go and smack some doors and anger a lot of people who think that their tune setups are fast. So, like I said, I'm Solid Bandit. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know your feedback below, how you felt it and what car that you used it on. And if you want some more in-depth information about this, I'll be more than happy to do so. So, don't forget to do all the good stuff. Subscribe, like, share with your friends so small channels like myself can grow. And with that said, catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.